Hello and welcome to Almost 30 Podcast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Lindsay.
And Krista.
And
Hello.
here we are.
Here we are. I'm really excited to have you. Today's episode is very vulnerable. It happened quite a bit ago, and it is bringing me back.
Isn't that funny how we do that? We batch episodes here.
Yep. So BTS, background of podcasting. Most people in podcasting batch. Lindsay and I have been in the space for 10 years now and living on separate coasts, having different schedules, all the things. You kind of batch the content. And so, most of our content is like withstands time. It's like conversations around the nervous system, conversations around parenting, around dating, relationships, spirituality, all the things. So it doesn't really matter when it comes out. But sometimes we talk about things that are really personal to us, and it seems like timing is always kind of funky.
Totally.
Like, I think for me, when I've been in my process of dating, it was like every week you were like, does she have a boyfriend? Does she not have a boyfriend? Is she getting ghosted? Is she married?
Is she dating a billionaire?
Yeah, honestly. No, is
she
it
with
a
a homeless
billionaire?
man?
Yeah, like is she what's going on? And it was like, even in my process of being in a relationship now, it's like there would be one episode one week where I'm like, I'm struggling so much. And the next would be like, I'm so happy. And like people are probably like, are they okay? Like, and I'd be like, this is with a different guy. That's with a different guy. Like, yeah.
It's very hard to track. We need someone on our team tracking that. Like every intro that we do, every interview, every solo.
You know what's so crazy is there was one episode we did with Dr. Molly, and in it I was talking about something that's been coming up for me and being a new relationship. And this happens in relationship. You kind of have to unprocess trauma or things come up that are available to heal. And I've always known that in my process that relationships are like my little alchemy soup. And so I've had, had fear come up around betrayal because I've had so much betrayal in my past. And this girl just DM'd me randomly. She was like, stop letting men cheat on you. I literally was like, it took me like 30 seconds. I was like, what? And she's someone that DMs me a lot. So I was like so confused. And then I was like,
but even you talking about that with Dr. Molly, you're talking about things in the past.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm talking about when I was 14.
That's the
no, like I'm like talking about like this is trauma, babe. It's like I was literally 14 years old. Like I was in college. Like
totally.
And also the concept of like, and I could go down a whole journey with this, but like letting someone cheat on you, you're like, what was I letting? Well, good point. I think in some cases.
What about you is, what is the question? What about this experience are you a match for?
A match for. I was definitely a match for. I think about that a lot where, I did my thing too. That's my realness is that I cheated on some of my partners as well. And also I have had more long-term relationships than most people. I've been in long-term committed relationships.
And when you're in long-term, you got to cheat at some point.
Exactly. Okay? That's the whole point of what I'm saying. There's more days to cheat.
But if we break down the percentage, I was amazing 90% of the time.
If I've been in a relationship from 15 to 35, 20 years of relationship, 200 of those days people were cheating. That means this many days people weren't cheating.
But they also talk about that percentage thing. Say you were in a committed relationship for 20 years.
Yes.
And there was one night where there was some form of unfaithfulness. Is it all done after that?
We had a conversation with Dan Savage.
Oh, wow. That was a long time ago.
TBT. So Dan Savage is like an LGBTQIA plus minus exclamation point person who, but he's incredible. Like came on the pod, like so good. We did it in New York. Very cool, fascinating conversation where we talked about monogamy. We talked about just like in relationships, how that sort of concept of like, does it negate the entire relationship and the beauty of it? Esther Perel talks about that as well. And I think that really helped reframe things for me and helped me think about things differently. But the reason why I brought this whole rigmarole up of that conversation with Molly and all that is that this conversation with Jatem and Simon, who are both healers and teachers, that I've worked with. Jatem lives in, I think, the DR or Puerto Rico, and I've been working with her for a few years now. She is just an oracle. She does the Akashic, she does tarot. She's a Mary Magdalene like priestess. She's one of the most like trained, educated mystics that I've ever met, and she's been instrumental in my growth path in the past couple years. And So in this session, she came with Simon, who she works with, to LA to do a 5-MeO DMT ceremony. And so 5-MeO DMT is like the God molecule, the God particle. It is the thing in ayahuasca that really sends you. So ayahuasca is a mix of 5-MeO DMT and then some other plant that makes the experience of the DMT longer and different. And so when you just do the 5-MeO DMT, it's this very short, compact, intense experience of meeting God. A lot of people, had the experience of meeting God or having this profound, enlightening, magical ceremony. And so in this conversation, you'll hear us unpack the ceremony that I did, I think 2 days before this interview. And, I'm someone that's done medicines, I've done journeys, I've done a good amount. I wouldn't say that I'm like a psychonaut, but I've done enough to educate myself and experience things. And I think this was a medicine or a whatever experience that I've always wanted. I was like, oh, I always felt called to it. I was like, oh, this seems like something. And usually when that happens, it happens easily. So we facilitated a ceremony, just us three, which was instrumental for me to have. I only do one-on-one now. And it's funny because I just got training in access consciousness and bars last weekend. I got certified. And I did it with my teacher, and he had 4 people registered or something for it. And then like the day before, everyone canceled and it was just me. And it's funny because in the session, he was like, I was always going to do it with you because we've worked together so much, whatever. I wasn't going to cancel. But in it, I was like, oh, this is on purpose. Like, I don't want to do session. I don't want to have anybody else there. Like, I don't want, especially with psychedelics and stuff, I only need me and my own energy. And that's just my preference after doing this for years. Like, I've realized that I don't do well in groups because I'm so sensitive. I'm like absorbing and alchemizing so much energy. I'm picking up so much. And I've done a really good job of managing my energy, but at a point, it was so overwhelming.
And I just want attention.
Oh, 100%.
It's like I want
that attunement.
If I'm going to be in that vulnerable state and if I'm going to invest this time and energy into committing to this, then I want that one-on-one, really supportive experience.
Well, also too, like, you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like, there's a vulnerability of it. And even in this, doing ceremony with medicine is so vulnerable. Like, I had a friend in New York a few weekends ago do a mushroom ceremony, or maybe MDMA, with her and her partner and like a group of people. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
I would never be able to.
And MDMA is more of like an inward, like
heart opening.
Yeah.
I find it very social.
Oh, okay.
For some, it's very therapeutically.
So maybe they would do it in a social.
It's very hard, I guess. But I don't know, maybe, I think it's more like for healing. I don't know if they were talking, but I think it's just some people can do that and I just can't.
Yeah.
Like, even in my access consciousness training, we did sessions on each other. And I was like, I would share this with people, what I was sharing with him, but I can just go so much deeper because he's my teacher and I'm only attuned to our conversation. I'm not attuned to what everyone else is thinking or doing or thinking about my scenario. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. And that's, one of our, I don't know if it was one of your first, but it was my first when we did ayahuasca in Costa Rica. And it was, a beautiful experience. And there were 70 other people in the room. So it was just a really intense.
It's like a chop shop.
Yeah. So most of my.
It's like a puppy mill for plant medicine.
It was more supportive than that. But I feel like most of my like ocular attention was to other people. And then energetically, it was interesting. I was like definitely in my own experience. But then every once in a while, I would have that self-judgment of like, oh, wow, I'm not going deep enough because I see someone over here throwing up and I'm not. Or I see someone over here having like the shamans around them doing the whole thing and I'm not getting that. So I should take another cup.
Totally.
So
I think biggest regret from that was not laying next to each other.
Yeah.
That was dumb.
Totally.
So
I shouldn't have laid next to a 70-year-old man who fell in love with me.
No, I should have been surrounded by literally perverts, pervert freaks. It's like, they were like, don't lay by someone you're going to ruin your experience. I'm like,
It was crazy.
Dude, that was so crazy.
Or I should have been near women, maybe. I don't know.
Exactly.
Just women in general.
There's so much I've learned. I mean, I'm going to do a master class on like how to like, just like knowing myself and how unsafe I could feel in a vulnerable scenario with men and how you're exiting your body in a way. Like, of course, babe.
Yeah.
Why would you want like, and even for any woman, I don't know, this is my view, but I'm like, yeah, I think my lack of safety around men from my past creates a thought where I think it'd be safer with women and women, you know,
Yeah,
but
for
women
sure.
also got their own like psychic crazy shit. But,
Yes.
but the reason, so for this episode, so Jatem Cheree, she's a teacher, she's an oracle, she's a mystic. And then Simon works with her and they, work together. He's such a powerful teacher as well. And so I think for people listening, I think there's two reasons why this is a good episode to listen to. And I think the first is because in this session, I'm processing very vulnerably the aspect of my psyche called the moderator. And I think a lot of us have the moderator, and the moderator part of us is that part of us that can get really well developed when we're in the spirituality or self-help space. And it kind of is the part of you that gets a lot of education and resources and information and uses that to keep you in a box and in a certain way. So my moderator part was always watching me to make sure I said the right thing at the right time. I said it processed, I said it nicely. Because I know all the information, it wants me to always be perfect because I know everything. So an example with food and eating, it would be like, okay, I need to eat 50 macros at lunch and celery juice in the morning and do the list or whatever. My moderator had sort of evolved to my personal relationships and being relationally perfect. I have to say the perfect thing to be kind and open and loving and process what's mine and process what's yours.
Yes.
And so it can make you hyper vigilant and insane. And my moderator part just had been in the background running in a way of keeping me just really hyper vigilant about myself and expecting me to be perfect all the time, which keeps me from real intimacy with other people and even with myself. So for people in the self-development space, this will be really helpful for you to kind of think about the ways in which you sort of keep yourself from your fullest expression and your deepest integrity through a self-monitoring or a hypervigilance of yourself. And then the second reason is if you are interested in doing medicine ceremonies, journeys, you want to go deeper, you want to do deeper healing work, this could be an option. Working with someone like Shatem could be an option, but there's a lot of mystical, spiritual, deep elements that we went through in this that are very interesting. And you will hear me in like, I think I was bawling in this, honestly. So you will hear me in a process.
And it's interesting, just the first reason you shared, you know, I think a lot of people listening are so immersed in their own self-development and healing, whether it's therapy or other modalities or experiences. And I've had that experience similarly of just feeling like, okay, because I've learned all of this either about myself or how we communicate in a healthy way, or we acknowledge other people's experiences, blah, 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 that the way in which I show up to this moment has to be so processed and so whatever. And similarly to you, like I saw that showing up in my marriage where like I wasn't allowing myself to just freak out or fall apart or be unprocessed. And it was holding me back from actually just expressing how I felt. So yeah, I think it's going to be really freeing for people because you got to be careful in this space. You know, you can kind of swing so far that it actually holds you back. And then you realize that, especially in your intimate relationships, friends, romantic, family, whatever, that like you're in those relationships, hopefully you should be safe enough to like not be so perfect and processed, you know, and then you use the tools to kind of gather the whole experience and like walk through it together. But in the moment, it doesn't need to be so perfect.
Totally agree. I think, you know, moderator is important because I've learned something that she wants us to apply. She wants you to know that there's a better way to communicate than what you've been doing. So it's moderator has a role of like, hey, on the highest level, this is going to be a better way of relating and communicating. But where it gets hard is where it's like, then you have to be perfect. And when you're codependent, you can have that where I'm processing for them, I'm processing for me. I have to show up perfect for, and that was the thought. I have to show up perfect to get the perfect result. And if I don't show up perfect, this relationship will break. This relationship will go away because my perfection and my thought of being perfect is what keeps this here. And, you know, it's interesting with what you're saying about, and last point before we get into it, but about relationships, how you're like, you know, not showing up perfect and showing up messy. And I've been thinking about that a lot because I work with women and I'm working with people on a daily basis where we're talking a lot about relational issues. And I've been thinking a lot about how part of being in relationship is being inconvenienced by someone else's emotional experience.
Yes.
So I had someone message me the other day that was like, I had a friend, she texted me 8 a.m. this morning and like about something that was upsetting her and kind of brought up a relational issue at 8 a.m. You know, it's the morning, I have my flow, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I just felt like the time was inappropriate and all these things. And it's like, yeah, man, like when you're in relationship, you will be inconvenienced by people and what they need from you and what they want from you. It's actually not like no one will ever approach you at the perfect time about like a relational issue. Like, sure, there can be better times. I'm all about timing. And I've been working on that in my romantic relationship, the aspect of timing, especially with the masculine. But when relationship, it's like, yeah, if someone's going to bring you something where they're like upset, like it's never going to feel like this was great time.
And by the way, you don't have to answer it, Dan.
I know, so true.
You know, so it's like, yes, that could be true that it's an inconvenience for you or that it's inappropriate to you, but you also have the power and the autonomy to just be like, I see this, but I'm actually not even going to reply or get into it until later today or tomorrow. Like,
so true.
Yeah. And by the way, like just that whole scenario is why relationships are so important. So this is bringing something up in you. You have an opportunity to actually shift this and like stay close to your center and not spiral because someone else is spiraling or be resentful because someone else is inconsiderate. It's like these are the moments that like I'm learning, you know, now in my late 30s as an adult, like, oh, this is good. Like I'm glad for these moments that are inconvenient, that are uncomfortable. I just had one the other week with Sean where I'm just like, this is so uncomfortable, but I texted her, I was like, I'm so glad. I'm like, we can do this together. And it like sucks in the moment because I'm like, oh, this is so hard. And then I'm like, no, this is so, now we're different on the other side and we needed to be different on the other side.
It's huge. Yeah. Allowing it to change you and allowing it to be like, you know, I think that's the biggest thing about relationships, and this could be a whole podcast, is just pattern interrupt and also being able to be the witness to the thing.
Yeah.
And man, I'm so uncomfortable right now, but we got this. Because when you're in it, of the discomfort of like, oh no, the person's a threat, this is bad. You want to get out, so it's the witness is important. So I'm really excited for you guys to listen to this and kind of hear my vulnerable share, and hopefully it resonates and a way that feels good for you and supportive for you. We at Almost 30 have 800 more episodes for you to listen to. Thank you for subscribing. We have us on YouTube now, so there's really beautiful video you can dig into. I love like cruising with the podcast on my YouTube. We also have Morning Microdose, which is our clips channel. There are episodes 5 days a week that are just like inspiration, insight, almost like a TikTok from the podcast. And then you can find me on Instagram at It's Krista. It's ITSKRISTA.
And I'm at Lindsay Simcik, SIMCIK.
And you can connect with Jetem at jetemcheree.com. So it's JETAIME, and then it's Cheree, CHEREE.com.
Amazing.
Amazing, guys. Enjoy this one. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for rating, reviewing, and for being a part of our lives and community. Enjoy.
We love you. Bye.
Lately, I've been craving more simplicity, not just in my life, but in my nutrition too. It's really easy to feel disconnected when your cabinet is full of random powders and supplements and you're constantly questioning the labels. But that's why I really love Kachava. It helps me simplify and feel more nourished without overthinking it. It's an all-in-one plant-based nutrition shake made with really high-quality ingredients. There's no fillers, no artificial flavors or sweeteners, and it actually tastes amazing. amazing. Just 2 scoops will give you 25 grams of protein, fiber, greens, adaptogens, and nutrients that support energy, digestion, strength, and focus. 25 grams of protein is no joke. So I usually blend mine with like a frozen banana, and I'll add like a nut milk. I'll, just add kind of my go-to favorite, like different fruits and stuff, but I can keep it simple and it still tastes amazing. Like the other day, I mixed the mint chocolate flavor shake with a nut milk and ice, and I just shook it up, and it was chef's kiss. It's just rich. It tastes so good. It doesn't taste fake like other powders. They've done it right. So rewild your nutrition at kachava.com and use code almost30. New customers get $20 off an order of 2 bags or more now through the 31st. That's Kachava, KACHAVA.com. The code is almost 30. You know that moment when you're starving, you need protein now? And every quick snack option either spikes your blood sugar, like just, sugary bars, or really messes with your gut. So I've been there a lot, and I've just completely changed my ways when I found Paleo Valley. So I am always keeping the Paleo Valley beef sticks on hand. They're made from 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef, sourced from small regenerative farms, and they're naturally fermented, so they're actually easy on digestion. They're delicious. Mav actually loves them too. There's no weird preservatives, no added junk, just real food. They don't taste like jerky. You know what I mean? They have that clean snap, fresh, and they actually keep me full. I actually have 2 in my bag right now for after this recording. It's like farmer's market quality protein, but portable. It's really great. If you're trying to eat well without overthinking it, these make it so easy. Head to paleovalley.com/almost30 or use the code A30 at checkout for 15% off your first purchase. Amazing discount, amazing products. I cannot wait for you to try.
Gosh, I am all sorts of ways, and I'm so glad to have you guys here. I'm grounding myself today because we have so much to talk about. I'm with 2 people I greatly admire and adore, and I'm so excited to sit in conversation with you. I've known you for years, and you're one of the healers and teachers that I respect and honor and recommend to so many people. All my girls usually come see you at some point, and today we're coming post-ceremony. So last night I sat with you both in a beautiful ceremony that lasted for like 4 hours together. And so I'm a little out of sorts, to be honest. I'm not my most polished professional podcaster self. And I'm excited to talk about sort of what came up. And I think it's going to be, my hope is that it's helpful and relevant for people, especially for women that feel like they have to be perfect, that feel like they have to be polished, that feel like they're never enough, that feel like they can't be anything other than who they are. And I feel like people would assume, looking at me, that I am someone that is very much myself. And there's a part of me that feels like that, but there's so much more that I'm limiting myself with that I realized last night. And it was beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time, to be honest. So can you walk people through, Jatem, sort of what we did as our session? And first, let me just say, you were an amazing facilitator. Amazing facilitator. Oh yeah, it's okay.
Thanks.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, babe. Okay, you're an amazing facilitator. I'm like so sensitive. I'm so quick to not trust. And it was so nice to be with someone I trusted. Yeah.
Thank you.
Love you.
I love you.
Love you.
It's beautiful to just really hold space for the possibilities.
Yeah.
Right. We've been really curious as to when this moment was going to come. What was it going to look like? What was it going to feel like? How would it all come together? And it was a beautiful divine sequencing that I would say includes this moment now.
Wow.
The feelings that maybe you're not going to be polished or ineloquent or all of the other things. And I find you to be the energy of now. And the energy of now can only be eloquent and elegant because it's now. It's this moment. It's what's alive. It's what's vulnerable. It's present. It's intimate. And thank you for showcasing and allowing me to witness you, allowing both of us to witness you in that. And allowing us to share it in this moment now. I think it's a huge topic, right? Huge topic about what we present ourselves as the world, to the world, and what is the actual relative running script in our own heart and mind that correlates with that.
Yeah. And what we allow ourselves to be.
Yeah.
I think I thought, I'm like, oh, I'm free. I'm liberated. I live my life on my own. I do what I want. I get paid to be myself. And it's almost like your self that censors and monitors, I call it the monitor, finds this life to use as its expression of monitoring. So it's like, oh, wow. So I can be this person. Then it becomes the brand, or then you have to say it in this certain way. You have to look it in this certain way. You have to express in this certain way. And I just thought I was more free than I am, honestly. But anyways, continue on what our ceremony was for the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And so last night, Simon and we co-created and co-facilitated an energy healing session for you based around, I don't want to call it our modality, right? Based around an energetic container that felt supportive and was guided by your own energy, was guided by what you need, your desires, your requirements, your demands, energetically, physically, spiritually. And essentially what it is that we hold space for is whatever wants to come to the surface in a release to make space for what you are receiving. And that means so many different things for so many different people, and specifically for you to hold space for realization, for freedom to come to the surface. And sometimes for freedom to come to the surface, it's the realization of where we are not yet free has to make its appearance first, its introduction, rear its ugly little head, for us to be like, okay, I see you, and now what? I'm actually going to peer deeper to understand the ways in which I can cut cords, I can create boundaries, I can be more raw, be more unapologetic, be more authentic, and own it. And then freedom reigns. Or do I sit in this for a little bit longer and feel the uncomfortableness of what a skin or a persona or a characteristic or an archetype is that feels restrictive, that feels crunchy, that feels like merging inwards instead of expanding outwards. And so, yeah, there's many ways to do that. And it's always very fluid and very intuitive for you. And really, every time it's beautiful in its own way. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, and it's always, we can accept it or we can reject it. It's through the acceptance of ourself, of every quality we possess, either if we like them or not. It's through the acceptance that suddenly opens a new door into something higher, something greater.
Yeah, it's like, I think it's so interesting in life. You can come to places where I feel so happy, and I feel happier than I've ever been. And then there's also a new level of that, or a new level of your liberation, or a new level available. And I think I didn't see it as clearly how even my happiness was limiting me, because it was only allowing me to be happy because I haven't been for so long. So I feel happy now, and I'm like gripping to the happiness. Like, I've got to be happier. It's going to go away. So we started with the Mary Magdalene healing, and then we did the temple code. And then we did the 5-MeO. So walk us through like just the ceremonies and sessions, because I want to kind of ground people in understanding outside of energy healing what we were doing, because I think they'll understand how deep I went, and you know what I mean? Like, it'll give them more context for like the deepness of how I went.
Absolutely. And so you and I really have always connected on the Magdalene path.
Yeah.
I'm a Magdalene priestess of the Isis and Mary Magdalene lineage. And in teaching Mary Magdalene Reiki, energy healing, what I like to call feminine magic or hidden remembrance, right? It's not a technique. It's not necessarily a modality, although I do use these terminologies. It is something I like to call perfect feeling. And so in the utilization of the perfect feeling that is always coming up for us, it comes up for us in desires, it comes up for us in passions and manifestations, in moments of curiosity, in moments of deep, deep joy and happiness, true vulnerable happiness that doesn't have conditions. And this perfected feeling within these types of energy healings is what we began with, right? Opening myself up as a vessel to be a conduit, to be a grounding cord, right, of energy that can then connect, support, and hold space for that same magnetism in your own field. And what does that really mean, right? Each of us has these interconnected, intimate stories that we are making our way back to. And this intimate story is, how do we see each other beyond the conditions and the judgments and the definitions and the titles of what our existence, I dare not say patriarchy because it's such a buzzword right now, but what the patriarchy has really conditioned us to believe. We each have these directly focalized energies that so deeply want to be interconnected with each other. And yet, most times when we have the opportunity to become super vulnerable and make that connection, we cut it. We step back, we shame ourselves, we judge ourselves, we don't let go, right? And so what Magdalene Reiki, the beginning of our session last night, was intended for was to support letting go. The stories, the narratives, the revolving thoughts and reflective deprecations that we get, right, from the world around us, and just letting it be, letting it rest, letting it take a pause. And in this, the body correlates in that way sometimes to just really deep breathing. It's such a beautifully intelligent mechanism that our body is supporting us with, is this unconscious breath. And a lot of times we're just breathing together, we're witnessing each other in the inhale, the sacred pause where everything stops, everything becomes still in that hold, and then the exhale. And in every moment, this is something a mentor of mine told me a long time ago, that in every moment we're dying, we're being reborn, we're being reincarnated through the breath. And so in the beginning of our sessions, what we're doing is we're opening up this space for the mini deaths that allow us to receive, that allow us to release, that allow us to become spacious for the next iteration of our evolution, the next iteration of our joy, the next iteration of our passions, our purposes, really our path. This dharma that we keep talking about, right? This destiny, this fate. These are like my favorite words. And I often sit with, what do they really mean?
Yeah.
And so even in these sessions, I'm opening up space for the shape-shifting of what it really means by allowing us to just feel it. I hold space for the feeling, perfect feeling, to be able to channel through me and hold the space for your perfect feeling to come to the surface. And that looks like so many different things. Energy healing is such a diaphanous, magical mechanism because it cannot be defined. It refuses to be defined. It refuses to have any chronological titling. And so in that moment, we're holding space for the energies of divine femininity, for the energies of hidden remembrance, and for that feminine magic to really just have this effervescence, like champagne bubbles floating to the top, to come to the surface. Sometimes it feels like pins and needles. Sometimes it feels like sensations in our hands, in our feet, in our womb, in our chest, the back of our neck, in our crown. Sometimes it just feels like easier breaths coming through. It can feel very visionary in the capacity to see apparitions, to have communications with ancestors, angels, allies, guides, guardians. Sometimes it just feels like a dreamlike altered state, which is necessary for us to go beyond any limitations that we may have placed on ourselves or that have been placed on us from external circumstances. And so what we began with was an opening.
So I've been thinking a lot lately about why so many of us feel tired, me, or like we're aging faster than we should, even when we're doing all the right things. And this is what really, really surprised me. Scientists recently discovered the first new nutritional deficiency in 75 years. It's called cellular fragility syndrome, and it's caused by low levels of an essential fatty acid called C15. When we don't have enough, our cells become fragile. They make less energy, break down faster, and they can show up as poor sleep, fatigue, and just feeling off. That's where Fatty 15 comes in. It's a science-backed vegan supplement with pure C15, and studies show it's even more effective than omega-3s. It helps repair our cells, support metabolic, liver, and heart health, and protect us long-term. So Fatty 15 is on a mission to replenish your C15 levels and restore your long-term health. I've been taking it for like 6 months now. It's been incredible. All you have to do is take a tiny little capsule once a day. Fatty 15 is offering 15% off their 90-day starter kit. Just go to fatty15.com/almost30 and use the code almost30 at checkout. That's fatty15.com/almost30 and use the code almost30 at checkout. It's one of those small daily habits that actually adds up. Revolve is honestly my go-to for everything. I'm wearing all Revolve today. We can go through it in a minute. Everyday outfits, date nights, weddings, even those I want to feel more put together days, I go to Revolve. Now that 2026 is officially here, I've been doing a little wardrobe reset, and Revolve makes it super easy. I love their curated edits and the recommended for you section. It actually helps me find pieces that fit my vibe without endless scrolling. I don't like to be on there forever. And I've been loving brands like Lovers and Friends, A. Goldie, and Amanda Uprichard lately, and everything just feels like very high quality and effortless. I'm obsessed. So between inclusive sizing, new arrivals daily, and fast 2-day shipping, it's the best. With easy returns, it's truly a no-brainer. Whether it's a weekend away, a big night out, or just a much-needed wardrobe refresh, your dream wardrobe is just one click away. I hope you're watching on YouTube. You will see my full Revolve look. The theme is brown. We have an incredible sweater, these swishy pants, and some Nike. These are Dunks? They're cool, right? They're brown. I love them. Head to revolve.com/A30pod, shop my edit, and take 15% off your first order with code A30POD, A30pod. Fast 2-day shipping, easy returns, the easiest of all time. It's literally the only place you need to shop from. That's revolve.com/A30pod to shop our favorites and get 15% off your first order with code A30pod. Offer available for a limited time, so happy shopping.
Mm-hmm. And I've had Mary Magdalene Reiki with you before. I got certified with you recently. And I think what I love about energy work is that it supports the more subtle aspects of life. You can't really define it. You can't really explain it. But it's been something that's been super beautiful, especially as I've stepped more into my femininity and more in my power and more in my truth. And that felt like the energy work that we did, the Mary Magdalene, felt like a difference compared to when you stepped in. It felt like so much more activated and so much more, it felt more like the masculine coming in. And so first was ours together, and then you guys worked together, which was actually really beautiful, because sometimes if I have two people working on me, it's really hard for me to let go, or I couldn't even let go ever, but it was hard for me to let go it's harder for me to let go because I can sense where everyone's doing. I'm like, what are they thinking about? How are they acting? But it was really, really nice. So when you stepped in, what was the difference, or how did you guys create that like more activated session of energy with a masculine and a feminine for people?
That's a beautiful question. And the answer that comes up to mind is that it's again the allowance, I should term it, as being this conduit, allowing us to be the conduit where the masculine and the feminine merge together in a unity, where there is no separation, but yet again still separation. And it's this beautiful dance of a little bit tapping in and out, constantly feeling into where are you, where am I? And it's quite a beautiful, electrifying, and I want to say life-giving dance. And I can say, I mean, like when you said this, now the masculine stepped in. and it's something that I work personally with a lot. A lot of my clients, like I would say 80% of my clients are women who have not felt seen or felt safe with men before. So a lot of my work is to consciously and unconsciously to make women feel safe with men. So for me, it's such a big and important aspect of really embodying like the divine masculine.
It's interesting because I think years ago I would be like, I actually feel safer with men. I would have said, that is my safe space. And now it's the opposite. And I think I realized that I felt safe being a certain version of myself with men that I'm realizing has expired. I also think I was safe with men. Yeah, I was safe with men in their acceptance of what I would present to them. So I'm presenting this certain thing. You guys are accepting this certain thing. This is where we're going to go. This is who I'm going to be. This is how you're going to react to it. It's all good. And then I really struggled with women. Most of my life, I really struggled with my relationship to the feminine. And women, I've talked about the mother wound and the sister wound and healing that. And that now is like with women, I feel so incredibly safe, mostly because I feel safe within myself, as a woman. So I can kind of lead that. But it's been so interesting for me because now I've realized how much I don't feel safe with the masculine. In the process of ending relationships that I've been in that have been narcissistic abuse, emotional abuse, and having had sexual trauma, I didn't realize how much it was an undercurrent of how I experienced the masculine, but I didn't really want to acknowledge it or notice it or think about it. And it's been something that I'm really working with now because what I realized that in order to be safe with men, now that I'm dating, what I'll do is meet them, decide if they're safe or not. And the safety level is like this. It's like, it's safe to a point where I'm like, okay, I'll hang out with you. And then I decide from that point which bucket you go into. Not safe. Okay, I'm going to present vixen, sexy front, this is how you're going to perceive me because you're already going to perceive me that way already. And then we're just going to go on that. And that's going to affirm the belief I have that men only want me for sex or men only want me for my looks or whatever that is. So that's a very safe place for me. Or it's like I'm going to be seeing you as more myself, but it's like kind of like I have to be in the masculine role in the relationship with a man. Like I have to be the masculine, I have to lead. Men are not capable. I can't trust a man to hold me. I can't trust a man to do anything like that. So I've been really working with that recently because it's been painful to be in yeah, it's pretty alive for me because it's been painful to be in relationships with dating where I'm only letting them go so far. It's like, I'm safe because we're only going here. So having our session with you was beautiful. And I think it did bring that element up of the masculine. It's not like I felt unsafe with you, but I do think that it impacts the way that how far I'm able to go or how soft I'm able to be or what I'm able to allow up. Even if, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you for
Mhm.
sharing your vulnerability.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think the beauty of that is really an understanding that we have created a protection mechanism within our performances. And the performances serve, they really do, but they allow us to have control over, it's a conversation actually Simon and I had just yesterday, control over the way that we're perceived.
For sure.
And within that, it makes us feel like we have some semblance of power.
Yes.
And what I have personally found within myself, which I think is the most powerful validation and confirmation, but also within clients and friends and families, is that the most power that we can find is actually in dropping the performance. And 99% of the time, we don't even realize we're performing.
For sure.
It's literally who we have become. And I find like when we have these moments of vulnerability, we drop into the non-performance and we're like, holy shit, there's all of these masks and veils and coats and shoes and archetypes and characteristics and ways that we act around certain types of people. We are the ultimate shapeshifters.
We are.
Right. And it's beautiful to be able to even have that type of ability and gift. And when we take all of that off, our true power is lying in how can I sit here with you and look you in your eyes and love your tears, right? And honor them. And then also like feel them within me too and say, I've either felt that, witnessed that, like experienced it, been there, will be there, and like connect to that intimate story that we were talking about before. And the power there is in the connections of all of our intimate stories and saying, oh, in actuality, when we're not performing, this is where our true power is interconnected, interwoven, and forms a grid. And so that's a huge part of what we're doing within not only Magdalene Reiki, but within Temple Codes. It's the powering up of this non-performative grid of power. Natural, innate, birthright given power that is coming out of dormancy. Right?
I do think, I'm curious as a man, well, obviously, you know, sexual orientation is different, but I do, and I'm wondering how you feel about this. I do feel like for women, there is a specific energy that of performance with men. And I don't know if maybe that's just my experience of feeling like that's what you have to do to get the connection, choosing the connection over the authenticity of your experience. And I think my whole life I've thought that was normal and thought that was like what would just be my reality.
And are the tears the fact that you're realizing that that's not your reality?
No, it's like, no, it's not. It's like, no, it'd be nice if that was. It's like, I think I always find a way to make it negative to myself. So in this, I'm like, wow, it's not any man's fault. It's my own fault. And I feel sad that I just feel sad for myself that I've had that. And that I feel sad that I thought that that was okay. Or I thought that I was doing it right. I don't know. Yeah.
Can also turn it around and say that all of this you're saying now are innate defense mechanisms.
Yes, 100%.
All of these things are your subconscious mind that's been protecting you.
Yeah.
And it's been protecting you out of love.
Yeah.
We don't want to put you in this situation again, so let's make sure that she doesn't go down this road again.
Yes.
But then the issues happen when we still consciously or unconsciously cling on to these old mechanisms that then suddenly creates our reality. And then suddenly this reality is not really up to date of who we are in this very moment.
Yeah.
And it's also through, when we have all of these assumptions of how things will be. I cannot do this because of that. And it's also these narratives that's running on autopilot in our beings that's affecting how we are perceiving, living, feeling life.
Yeah.
And at least for my own, when I talk through my own experience, that myself, when I have these realizations of my perceptions, how I've lived my life through a lens that's not really authentic or not really who I am, that's always when something shatters in me and I suddenly realize, holy shit. What just happened?
Yeah. I feel like I don't know what is I was like, I know some ways of being are inauthentic and I've been monitoring them through, I've been watching how I've been in dating and I'm like, oh, I'm performing. Like I'll go on a date and be like, all right, switch on performance mode and, crush this date. whatever. But I don't know, like there's so much of the way that I am expressing that I'm like, how far does the inauthenticity go? Like, what is inauthentic? What's off?
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's kind
It's a
of,
beautiful inquiry
it's like,
because we
what?
all do that. We put our best
Yes.
foot forward. Is our best foot forward a performance?
Yes, exactly.
I don't think so. And there are moments too where you realize that you're witty, you're charming, you're on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is alignment. That's not a performance. When something is being filtered and filtered in a way, like there's something about like, I mean, I like to curse like a sailor, but obviously I'll filter that sometimes. And I mean, curse words are just the best like power words. And anyways, but that's not performance, like alignment, flow. Like we talk a lot about multidimensional flow, like in Magdalene Reiki and even in Temple Codes. That's not performance. We're just on it. We're following like an unobstructed path that feels like it's channeled.
Yeah.
Like whatever comes out of our mouth, our movements, we feel so much confidence in our body. Like when we walk, when we sway, we're gliding. That is alignment, right? What happens though when we switch to performance, it's filtration, or it's trying to go into the eyes of that person and see how they see you from their perspective and then alter it, right? And we all do it. You know, sometimes I'm like, okay, is he seeing me? Should my hair be on this side? Would I be prettier
No,
this
last
way?
night I was like,
you know?
last night I was literally on DMT and I was like, I have snot on my face. I need to wipe it off.
Yeah.
Like insane. Like I was like, they're
Not.
going to see my snot on my face. I need to wipe it off. And then my monitor was like, no, let them see your snot.
And
Don't
in
let
that, your
them see-
monitor is amazing.
It
Let
is.
us see your snot.
Let us see your like
please.
No, but the monitor
rawness.
was like, you don't want them to think that you're out of it. It was still about your experience of me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't want to, you want to prove to them that you're not worried about the snot. Swear. I had snot on my, okay, so this is the story. I had snot on my face last night after doing 5-MeO DMT. And so I wanted to wipe off the snot because at first I thought, I can't let them see my snot. And then my monitor said, but then you don't also want them to know that you care about wiping off your snot.
Right.
And so I was like in this battle about my snot on my face. I was just like driving myself.
Sacred snot.
Sacred snot
Yeah.
was like the
Honestly.
thing.
I would say we have a very loose relationship to snot over here.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm sure. Yes.
Absolutely.
So how do you think, I guess we can all, how do you guys think then people can tell when they're being in their authenticity and when they're not? When we talk about authenticity, what does it feel like? What's the experience? And then how can we tell when we're performing?
are you talking when you observe someone, or you're talking about when you feel authentic?
How do
yourself?
you feel? How can you know that you're being authentic?
I mean, when Suzanne was talking before about authenticity, the first thing that went through my mind was, okay, I'm authentic when I feel, I'm gonna curse now, like fucking great in my body. You know, when I'm filling myself up from the inside out. I'm not really fussed about what other people are thinking because I'm so embodied in my own being, and I love being in my own body. I love feeling, I love like laughing, I love being seen. I love hearing myself. I love singing. I just love like expressing my fullest version. That's for me when I'm authentic.
What about sadness though and grief? Like what about the other bad feelings that we feel like, is that not authentic? Like what do you say with that?
I would say it's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Like for me, if you want to live the experience of of the full spectrum of being a human being, then we have to feel our emotions. We need to. It's part of our humanness. It's part of the natural rhythm. And all emotions are beautiful in each their own way. And they all serve their own beautiful divine purpose. And I myself, I'm happy. I love to laugh. I love to have fun. I'm joyful. And so for me, that's when I think of authenticity, that's the first thing that comes into my mind. Because that's kind of like how I perceive myself, how I wish to live my life.
Yeah.
Not to say that I neglect the heavier, denser emotions.
When you are sad, what is your go-to, essentially? I would like to know, like, what's your go-to for like authentic expression of grief? Like in sadness, like, what does that look like?
It's a really, I don't know if you feel it, but my inside is changing as well. It's, for me, grief and sadness has, through my, like the way I've been raised, through the way I live my life, has always been something that's been forbidden. It's still something that I'm like evolving with, learning to get acquainted with. And I would say it's not a lot of people who've seen me cry. It's not a lot of people where I have really allowed myself to fully show that side. Because through my upbringing, I always learned that when you feel sad, or honestly, when you feel any emotions, you should hide.
Yeah.
Don't feel it. Like, just don't show anyone how you're feeling.
Is that cultural or your family?
I would say it's mostly family.
Got it.
It's mostly family. So I'm still on a journey of getting fully embodied and acquainted with my grief, with my sorrow. And when we talk about filtration, because when I'm on different plant medicines, when the filtration gets kind of like taken out of the picture, then I can grieve. Then I can cry. I can scream. I can get extremely primal and loud. And as I'm saying this, I'm getting an amen. It's like
Ringing
in
I
my
hear
ear.
it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because why?
I think it's just a sign or a message that
There's something there.
something there to be
So-
further.
So even on that, so that's a question that I have then, because I relate in the fact that very few people have seen me in like and I, just very few. And then the voice that I feel is very few people deserve that. And these are, parts. Very few people deserve that. Very few people can hold that. It's not a safe space with a lot of people. So what would you guys say to that? Because I think a lot of people are like, okay, so I want to be more vulnerable. I want to be more open, but also, is every space a safe space for that? Is every space worthy of that? What do you guys feel about that?
I think it's a huge layering, right? And oftentimes when we talk about the truth, there are variations of the truth and variations of layers and levels that we can attain to get to that point. And I think the first and foremost importance of that is to surround yourself with people that your authenticity flows easily.
Yeah.
And that's in grief, that's in happiness, that's in joy, that's in celebration, and that's in witnessing. And when I talk about layers and levelings, it's because the first layer is to actually remove the connections and relationships that are not serving that truth, that are not serving that awareness. And that's usually the hardest first step.
Yeah.
Right? It's to, whether we want to call it cutting cords, creating boundaries, moving outside of spheres of friendship or careers or whatever it may be, to further align with the non-performative aspects of our power. And so when we actually step into that, we step into courage. And one of the most beautiful things that I feel like really aligns here is I read the Akashic Records. And one of the first things that I talk about when I read the Akashic Records is utilize questions that are burning desires to know. And within that burning desire to know inquiry to the Akasha, choose your number one burning desire, because people always leave it to the end. Why do we do that? Fear of the answer, fear of the expectations of what's going to come through, fear of what I want it to be, what will it be, how will it affect my life, how will this information channel through me, or will it even feel real, right? And these are all the questions that we similarly have when we move through these layers and levels of our own truth, and removing the armor, removing the performative or the protection mechanisms from around us. And it's courage, right? We have to move into what is our burning desire and follow it. Like literally, I believe, in my own humble opinion, that this is our number one aspect of existence, is to seek, feel, and embody our burning desires.
Oh, yeah.
And when we can move through these layers, we start to find synchronicities, angel numbers, coincidences, whatever you want to call it. Things begin to open. So it goes back to what we began with last night, an opening, right? An opening. It's a gateway. It's a portal. It's a window of opportunity, sacred pause. It's all of these things, right? The new age is like buzzing with all of these words. And It's spaciousness. Spaciousness for us to emerge, like this cocoon, this metamorphosis that is taking place every single day, the inhale, the exhale, right? The mini deaths and the mini rebirths that we're having in every single moment are spaciousness for us to move through truth. And I think surrounding yourself, and maybe that's one person.
Yeah. I think starting with one as an example is a good one. Yeah.
Right. And honestly, in this moment in life, it's like Simon and I are to each other, like we are best friends, and we provide the spaciousness to be without any performative aspects, and we mirror each other consistently.
What does that mean?
Yeah, it's.
I've never had a friendship like Shatam and I have. I've never been in such a deep connection where I can just fully be my raw, unfiltered self. And also in such a way where, like Shatam said, we mirror each other. I say something and suddenly Shatam's like, can I just mirror you in that one? What if, or are you sure?
Is that true?
Is that really true?
Or is it a story?
Is it a story you're telling right now?
Yeah.
So it's constantly
provoking in a way.
It's interesting because provoking is there, but it's actually just about allowing the spaciousness for another layer of your truth to emerge.
Love that.
And so he'll be sharing and I'll be like, wow, that's absolutely amazing. Thank you for sharing. And what's underneath that?
What if we go deeper?
What's deeper? Like what's really the root and the origin of that, right? And then we'll get to that layer. And that's when we talk about layers and levels of truth, spaciousness and opening, it's when you feel fully vulnerable, but also safe to go to that layer and level, right? We talk about the underworld and the darkness and the dark night of the soul and all of, but they don't necessarily have to be this devilish like aspect of distortion. You know, mirroring and going into these deeper layers just provides a space for
reflection, awareness,
intimacy.
It's interesting because with the women in my life, there's women I can do that with, but it's after we've processed the emotion. After the emotion is present, we can move to that. The emotion first needs to be tended to. It's almost like because the emotion's like a little girl or, you know, that's like upset. But with the men in my life, I can go to that pretty quickly. We can go to the what else is there, the provocative, you know, feels provocative for me. And it's interesting. I'm just kind of thinking about that because I think a lot of women listening, our audience is mostly women. I don't know how many women would be receptive of that in their life if someone was like, oh, what else is there? I think they would feel judged. And I'm saying that as like, what do you guys think about that? Is that a level of consciousness or awareness?
I would say it's a mix of different things.
Yeah.
It also talks into what are our traumas?
Yeah.
What are our triggers?
Yeah.
And then we can say, our triggers are gateways into higher potential.
Yes.
I think the beauty of the question though is what else is there? I've literally just asked you what else is there? 4 questions or 4 words in one question, right? And in that, it's abundance. It's an abundant question.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Right? We're consistently, as a human collective, asking for more abundance in our lives. What else is there? If abundance triggers you, let's go deeper. And I think that's exactly how I would phrase it if somebody was like, oh, I'm triggered by that. And I'd say, okay. Are you triggered by the abundance of what else you have inside? What else you have to share? What else you have for me to receive from you? Let's go deeper. And I think triggers, as Simon was saying, are like our deepest pathways to finding self-discovery, collective discovery, and also an even deeper bond and an intimate story with each other, whoever we're having that conversation with. And I guarantee you that person, if it's the first time you've asked them what else is there, they will never forget you and they will never forget that conversation because you allowed them an abundant moment to become intimate, not with you per se, but with themselves.
And in that, you just planted a seed in them that will grow into something bigger.
Layers and levels.
Yeah.
And just returning to the layers, as you mentioned, I mean, like, essentially, that is what we're doing here. You created an opening.
Yeah.
We went deeper. We went into vulnerability. And now we are adding layers and layers and layers.
So what else is there? Right?
What's alive?
It's a stunning inquiry. And it doesn't take much from us except an attentive and deeply intimate desire to just hold space. What else is there?
I think I pulled us off of a little bit when we were talking about how to get authentic with ourselves. It's like first, or how to find the safe connections. We talked about removing the relationships and the people in your life that were not allowing you to be authentic. And then there was a few other ways that we can tell and then be authentic that you were speaking about. Do you remember?
Yeah. I mean, ways in which we can feel more authenticity in our lives is literally what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Before we go into a spiel, into a pre-rehearsed normal version of who we are, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
And then literally the answer finds you.
Yeah.
And I often find in any question, the answer is within the question. And so if someone were to ask me, what else is there? The first thing I do is, and I find in my body, in an embodied sense, like where does the truth of that question live within me? Where does the authenticity of that question live within me? And that's why I say, I think surrounding ourselves, whether it's just one person or a group or a community, a family of people that can hold space for the inhale and the exhale and everything that happens in the in-between, and that can just hold space for you to find that aligned truth inside of you. I think so much of that is simple in theory. In theory. And a lot of what Simon and I do is creating containers. And are we creating them? Maybe not. But are we stewarding and facilitating the potentiality of the container? I think so. And I think additionally, like creating safety is opening yourself up to potentiality.
It's also opening yourself up to, or allowing the break to break out of your autopilot.
Yeah.
Because how can we be authentic if we're running on autopilot?
Yeah.
And that's that pre-rehearsed self, right? It is on autopilot all the time.
I think we all know this feeling of, sitting in a circle and we're about to present something, and already before it's our turn, we're like,
oh my gosh,
like, okay, what do I need to say?
This year I'm claiming abundance. This year I'm letting go of limiting beliefs.
Exactly. And
like
every circle
my nightmare.
I'm the person like, what
My
else is there?
nightmare.
Yeah.
What's underneath abundance? Is it abundance is so many things. Where you want an abundance of shit this year?
Yeah.
Is that what you'd
good
like?
One. That is such a good one.
And every single container, there's 10 people who are like, I would like abundance. And I'm like, go deeper. What's underneath that? And do I think it's triggering? Not necessarily, but I don't think people ask.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think people leave the spaciousness for something outside of the pre-rehearsed abundance.
Yes.
Abundance, right? And I love it.
Yeah.
And what does abundance feel like? Right? If we need to bring it home, we need to bring it into the body and feel it.
Yeah.
Our feelings are going to, they inform our actions.
Yeah.
They inform the architecture of our world. It's the blueprint.
Yeah.
It's the dream. It's the eros. It's the intimacy. It's the inspiration. And so we need that inquiry. We need that safety, right? To say, what's underneath abundance?
And we do get like 80% of our information are perceived through the body.
Yeah.
So it kind of also just makes sense that we need to feel it to actually live it, to be it.
Yeah. I think there's two things. So just even before answering the question, that sacred pause moment, I've been talking about that recently in communication. And the pause is such a power move, to let the audience process what you're just saying, to let them catch up to what you're just saying, to have the moment, even as a speaker, using a pause on stage, using it to like people lean in. They're like, what is next after the pause? They can kind of have a second. And in life, having the pause for the authenticity is such a good one too, and it's so interesting because in facilitating and guiding circles, you'll see the story, the performative element of the positivity. I'm looking for abundance, and then you'll see the performative element of people's negative stories. Like, I'm someone that really had this happen to me and this happened to me. And so the performance can be, some people receive validation and love through performance of them being a victim. Some people received love from their performance of them being, someone that's successful, a victor, we'll say. But I think what we've gotten to here with the body and the feeling is so powerful, because I think there was that moment last night after fighting with my freaking inner monitor for 40 minutes after our ceremony, was when you said, what if we were to go out of the head and into the body and feel? And I was able to find relief from the battle that I had been in my mind by being in the body. And I hadn't felt that in a bit. I was like, wow, I really didn't have the peace of being at home in my body and hearing nothing and feeling just a semblance of home here, because I had been so in the ego battle that I had been experiencing.
Yeah.
Oftentimes it's just when we live in a mostly cerebral capacity.
Yeah.
This is most of humanity. And one of the most beautiful things to think about energy healing, and any lineage, right? Any lineage that at least Simon and I know of, it's going to teach you to come into the body, that it's actually ground zero. It's the vessel that actually holds the potentiality of everything else.
Yeah.
And so when we can actually pull these threads, whether it's egoic thoughts, whether it's like what's underneath abundance, what's underneath vulnerability, what's underneath accountability, how are we stewarding the life of our dreams, bring it into the body. And by cultivating a sense of how do we desire to feel, it will architect the active elements of our life into literally a blueprint and instructive architecture.
Yeah.
And layers and levels, right? The monitor has to come to say, are you sure, girl? Are you sure? Are you sure you're ready for that? This might remind you of that one time when we had to kind of pull you out of this sadness or this depression or, this high horse energy. And it happens to all of us. We all have the internal monitor. And I think one of the most beautiful things about becoming intimate with your internal monitor is that you can have a good laugh. And you can say, wow, thanks for bringing that up. Like, that's a really good reference point. And I'm going to take a pivot from where I was in this situation 10 years ago, or where my mom was, or my grandfather, or my best friend. And I'm going to utilize that information to be able to architect a different pathway. I don't believe that the monitor, the ego, the unconscious or subconscious is here to ruin us. It's here to enact and activate this spirit of rebellion from the normal ways that we have protected ourselves, so that we can find the pathway of our power.
And like what you're saying there is so important, because we are trained in seeing our ego as the enemy.
Yeah.
I hate you, you're annoying, go away. And as Tam said, when we can get intimate with the monitor, we can also laugh at it. We can have fun with it.
Monitor is magic.
It's magic. It shows us exactly what we talked about yesterday, and also mentioned before, that it shows us where we're yet not free. So how can I befriend it and see it as a friend that's helping me to evolve into my highest potential?
You said it last night. You're like, I feel like I'm in jail.
Yeah.
And I feel like the monitor got the keys. Like, you can come out? Oh,
Yeah,
all
kitty,
right,
kitty.
come on. Yeah. And yet we look at the jailer as the enemy.
Yeah.
And I think if we can be like, all right, jailer, get over here. Like, I'm going to integrate you. I'm going to embody you. And I'm going to make love to this aspect of myself that really and truly has been here as a protection mechanism. And once I integrate you, so delicious.
Yeah.
And isn't that what life is about?
Yeah.
Making it so
delicious.
delicious.
It's interesting. So just for the audience, when I'm talking about the inner monitor, I'm talking about, you know, in our ceremony last night, this aspect of me that's like just monitoring myself and watching how I'm perceived, watching how everyone else is perceiving me and adjusting and contorting based on that. In this case in particular, the inner monitor is this part of me that's never let me go, like it's never let me surrender, whether it's been in any medicine ceremony, any psychedelic ceremony, nothing. Like I've done psychodrama therapy work, I've done so many plant medicines, I've done so many different healing things, whatever. And I've never been able to let go, ever. It's never let me dissolve into the experience. And last night it was online again and it wasn't letting me dissolve into the experience. And it's interesting because the way that I see this is through parts work. So internal family systems is the methodology that I teach and work with. So I'm in my process of kind of getting to know the part of the monitor, which is different for me than the inner critic. It's like a very interesting part, but I'm not necessarily unblended from it. And I'm not really understanding. I understand it, but I'm still kind of like feeling under its thumb a little bit, you know, and I'm still getting my bearings with this aspect of me, because inner critic, I know, you know, it's something I'm well aware of and I love her, but this one I'm like trying to understand, and it's helpful to understand like where are your origins? What is the point where you said, oh no, we cannot let go. We need to hold tight. It is not safe, you know, and it's fine for her to feel like that. But man, it was just painful because I was really desiring to have an experience where I could finally surrender and let go for the first time in my life. You know, I haven't ever had that. So I was really looking forward to that, and to have the disappointment of not was such a bummer. And then to feel her pull up and out, and watching you guys, seeing what you're doing, seeing what you're thinking about it, wondering what you're thinking about it, was just like, fuck, I'm doing that again. You know, I'm like in that again of watching other people. And it's almost like using my gifts to tune into other people instead of myself. You know, I had this like hit the other day because in my client sessions, it's very easy for me and my psychic gifts to come online because we've created this space and there's a lot of permission within our field. So it's easy for me to go in, pull something out, say something. But I've realized I've been using that unconsciously a lot in my life to get people to like me or whatever. Like they're thinking about this, I'm going to bring this up. As an example, I went to meet a friend the other day. Her son was there. And I saw her son. I was like, nice to meet you. And I was like, do you like Minecraft? Because he was thinking about Minecraft. So immediately we have rapport on Minecraft because I bring up Minecraft because I picked it up in his field. And so I was like, how can I now use this? I just don't want to do that anymore, where I'm like using that to be safe or always sort of outside of myself in other people's fields. And my monitor is like, how do we do that? Or how do we exist if we're not doing that?
I mean, yeah.
What?
You're speaking my language.
Really?
It's like, for me, it's always so interesting that we get so fixated on the goal. This is what I want. This is what I desire for.
Yeah,
that
true.
we forget what is in this very moment.
Yeah, true.
Nothing is a coincidence. That there is a huge gift to be unraveled in this very moment that you were offered.
It's true.
And maybe that moment didn't live up to the assumption or expectations that you have. But still, again, there was a divine sequencing in the gift you got served.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
And which then leads me into, at least from what I hear you saying, is that, okay, I need to monitor others before I can react myself.
Yes. Are they safe?
But isn't that observation? We had a conversation once about what's the difference between observation and judgment.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And I thought it feels applicable here because you and I are the same in that. And I'm cosmic, right? And Simon's always like grounding me back into my body. We're the oracle, right? So Minecraft, okay, how can I bring this in? There is such a delicate, but also intricately chaotic balance that we're creating in this oracular nature of being able to see through other people's eyes, feel how the connection can go and which way we can weave it in I mean, first and foremost, I'm an opportunist. And so and I mean that in the most beautiful titling and definition of the word. Like, I will see the opportunities in every scenario and be able to like divert and pivot as needed. And I believe that that's the same for you. Why are we judging the ways that we look into opportunities to be able to expand the moment?
Yeah.
You expanded that moment for that little boy, right? For Minecraft. And then if it also serves you, there's an opportunity there that is completely connected and going in both directions. It is movement. It has energy. It has activation. It's not one-sided. It's not dead on one end. It's completely cyclical and circular. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Yeah. So when we start judging like our observations, then I think we bring our ego into things. And for a long time, I used to do the same thing. I'd be like, all right, I see this situation from so many different viewpoints, and I'm going to use this situation, and I'm going to utilize it. My human design is, it's opportunist and visionary. And what is an opportunistic visionary? It's an oracle.
Yeah.
And within that, we see things that other people can't see. And the ways that we integrate it, the ways that we are able to orchestrate it can be very grounded, which is like bringing it back into the body, or it can be a little haywire, which is where it gets into like these multiple thoughts and how is it going and what are they perceiving? Bring it into the body. Utilize your gifts, not as a hindrance and not as something that is wrong with you, but as a gift and a skill and a talent and ability that was an innate God-given, goddess-given gift, and utilize as an opportunity to further yourself, because by giving yourself permission to further yourself, that seed is planted in every single person that you meet. So judgment and observation of the oracle is a very fine line. And I feel like that's the monitor. Because earlier you said, I'm very good friends with my inner critic. We have a great rapport. How did you develop that rapport? And maybe be able to take some of the learnings from that rapport with your inner critic and bring it over to your inner monitor. Right? And then how can, not even to say that they need to mesh or meld into the same entity or the same energy stream, right? But being able to use what's tried and true in your intimate relationships with different aspects of your own archetype and use them in the layers and levels as you move forward and as you gain abundance in the ways that you utilize your gifts.
I feel like this really also talks into how we are all so uniquely wired. It's really the beauty of finding our own way. Because for me, it really, and I spent 30 years of my life shape-shifting, like really adapting into the environment of how would I fit into how they perceive me, and, constantly shape-shift. And it cost me an immense amount of energy. Within the last 5 years, I really figured out that the more I can be true to myself, the more I can, and it's not to sound selfish when I say that I choose me first, but I choose me first out of love. Because if I choose me first, then I have so much more love to give to my surroundings, to my friends, to my clients, to the world. So for me, it's just so important to find your way home. The more true I can be in my core, the less energy I need to spend constantly navigating my surroundings, my conditions.
How would you guys explain, like, what is choosing yourself first for people? Like, because a lot of women listening, there are people that put people before themselves. What would you say choosing yourself first is? Because I think people understand the value of it now, but I don't know if they always understand what that means.
For me, it has a lot to do with boundaries.
Yeah.
This is my boundaries. I'm very clear with my boundaries. And it's been a practice. I really don't like that saying, because I also feel like I'm an ex-pleaser.
An ex-pleaser. Yeah. Yeah.
And finding my way where I choose myself first, I had to set a lot of boundaries.
Yeah.
To myself, but especially to like the external world. And I think if anyone knows now, you know how strict I am with my boundaries.
What are some examples?
I can usually look at Simon and say, okay, Simon needs a Simon nap. And it's like he needs 20 minutes where he's either silent or like on his own in nature. And that's a boundary of his. And we could be in the middle of like an excursion or in the middle of facilitating. And I'll be like, Simon's going to go ahead and take a little break and we're going to continue. Yeah. And it's really just like, it's a telepathic notion where I can really feel that about him and I honor it. Like, and there's also, I think in the beginning of our relationship where there was a moment where I was like, but power through. That's me.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm the power througher.
Wow.
That's
I'm
not
a
his.
projector. I need my downtown. I have X amount of energy to give, and then I need to withdraw to come
It's
back
also
again.
the masculine too. Have to rebuild the testosterone, go off. You know, women, we get it from fed through each other. Yeah.
And I'm a manifesting generator. And so I feel like I typically have a never ending supply until I don't.
Yeah. Same.
And so I go and I go and I go and I go until that last sputter sparks out. But in the essence of what does it feel like to choose yourself? One of the things that I often say to clients and friends is to reserve your yeses first and foremost for yourself. And oftentimes people, our community, our friends, our people, our coworkers, our families are so used to our yeses. They're so used to us acquiescing, to serving, to giving, to overflowing for others that they may not be used to it when what used to be yes is now a no, because I have reserved that yes for me. And that can be the simplest of things. Like when I wake up in the morning, I need an hour where nobody fucking talks to me, right? That is my yes. And now whether it's your kids or your partner or your work that's calling or even Instagram or your emails that want your attention when you first get up in the morning, no, that's a no. Because my yes to an hour of self-care is reserved for me. So first and foremost, how do we create an internal embodiment is creating space. And I'm always going to come back to that, creating
also
the space.
talks into, again, feeling.
Yeah.
Feel your yeses and feel your nos.
Yeah. Which is both the pause, adding the pause. I always say with people, the no and the yes happens because for most people, the yes is the reflex. Yep, got it. You want to do that? Yeah. You know, it's already the yes that happens, and I have to catch myself doing that.
How do you do that?
Now it's like I have to give myself permission to pause with every question. And I even have people that I work with, it's like we move along the scale. We're, the initial was and that's how I like to do with anything. I don't want them to go from like here to being like, no, I'm not going to be able to do this. It's like, how can we gently move you along the scale? So right now you're at reflex, yes. How can we just put our hand over our heart if we feel people asking us something to give us the inclination to ask the question? How can we just say, I need to check my calendar, giving us like the chance to move out of that situation and that energy, check in with ourselves, see if it feels good in our body to say yes. Or even like, not like saying to lie, but I'm always like a white lie doesn't hurt if you're going to give space for yourself to check in.
Or what's the truth of that? Like, can you allow me some spaciousness and I'll get back to you?
Love that.
That's it.
I just want to check in. Get back. Yep.
I'll check in with you later about that. I mean, it can be really simple when we give ourselves permission to just be honest.
Yes.
And for me, it's my favorite saying in the world is it a full body fuck yes? And if it's not, then it's a no. Even a maybe is a no because it's not a yes right now. And we can revisit it. We can revisit all of our no's, but in this present moment, is it a full body fuck yes?
But it is a tough one when we live in a world that's quite reactive.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
So suddenly, like for some people, it can be extremely triggering if you say, I need to feel this before I can give you an answer.
Yeah.
I think that's where and the big practice enters the pictures.
But that also goes back to choosing you. If can I have some spaciousness triggers you, we can talk about that, but it's also not mine. I'm using my yes in this moment or my no. So if it triggers you, let's open a dialogue around it. And it's not necessarily going to influence my yes or no in this moment because I've already felt it in my body.
And that's, again, feel it. See, it really also depends how you phrase it. When you say, I need to think about it, it becomes a mental decision. But if you can learn to rephrase it in your own being and say, I need to feel it before I give you an answer.
Yeah, let me feel into that.
Let me feel into that.
As someone that's sensitive, I have to feel it away from people normally. I have to go to the bathroom, or I have to like take a second to like wait and kind of
Like,
feel it. It can't happen because usually I'm so attuned to people in their energy. I'm going to like maybe subconsciously do what they want me to do.
mhm.
And so usually for me, it requires me to be alone.
And the group field
Yeah,
contracts,
for
right?
sure.
It pulsates and it contracts. So if you're in a group of people and they're like, we're all going to go do this, and you're like,
Yep.
let me feel into that.
Yeah.
Step away from the pulsation, the group field that's like contracting around you. Like you said, go to the
Yeah.
bathroom, go take a little Simon nap or Simon walk around the block, right? And feel it in your body. And I would say that this is for all humans. We immediately know the answer.
Yeah.
Because we feel it.
Yeah.
There is a knowing that is only stemmed from the information of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And we override it consistently and constantly.
Yeah.
And so for us to be in an intimate relationship with our desires and what is a full body fuck yes, we have to feel it first and become once again abundant with that intimate story of our own yeses and nos. And if that means taking space, then know that you need a 5-minute like decision maker space, and that's your boundary. That's how you operate. It's not a judgment. It's just an observation. And I've got to roll with that.
Just imagine like the beauty of recognizing yourself in that way.
Yeah.
This is how I work.
And other people recognizing
for
you
sure.
in that way and
For
honoring
sure.
you in that way, and then giving themselves permission to be like, oh, do I need a Krista nap?
Yeah.
Do I need a Krista walk around the block?
Yeah.
Like, do I really need to, do I need to put my hand on my womb and feel it? Because they witnessed you in your power of claiming that moment.
Yeah.
This is how we literally change the world, by giving ourselves permission to be fully authentic.
Mine's called morphing. I'll be somewhere with my friends and they're like, she's morphing. And I'm like, oh, mask is slipping off, guys. I need to literally leave right at this moment. Like I'll be at a party and I'm like, we're done.
And how does it make you feel that your friends recognize this
I'm
in
obsessed with it.
I love this for you.
They're like, they respect my morph.
Right,
They're watching the morph. And I'm like, I've got to go. They're like, we have about 5 minutes till morph. I'm like, yep. 5 minutes till morph.
That sounds
and
like
the countdown
me.
begins.
The countdown begins till I'm like, dude, I just can't. The battery is just...
It's out.
It's out.
Yeah.
It's out.
It's
We're
hasta
done.
mañana.
No more.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm good on all that. So to go back to last night with our ceremony, I want to explain the 5-MeO DMT part of it. So
Absolutely.
this was something that when we talked about doing our ceremony, I kind of overlooked, but I'm grateful that I did. So you sent me it was all you sent me information. We're like so up to date, and I'm just kind of doing my little thing. And I didn't realize that we were doing this in the ceremony until Thursday. Our ceremony was Friday, but it felt the entire time crystal clear in my body, crystal clear in my consciousness, prayed on it, asked, never in a second felt anything other than clarity. And I've had any of these things that I've done in my life, I've been so grateful because it's always happened easily and naturally, no effort needed, just dropped in. Darkness retreat. He asked me to come the day after I told God, if you want me to go, make it easy. He's like, do you want to come for free? Ayahuasca, they were like, do you want to come for free? The day after I said, if this is meant for me, have it come. Things happen like that. So I knew that this was meant for me, and I was with you and I got to meet you. But I didn't really know much about what it was or what we were doing. And I have to say, it was my favorite substance I've ever done. It was just so clean and clear, and it was just stunning. Like I just loved it. Even it brought up my struggle, but it still has such a beautiful energy. So tell the audience what the 5-MeO DMT is.
Absolutely. And so that's its molecular name, and I tend to call it the goddess molecule. And so we may be familiar with DMT, dimethyltryptamine, which is the active ingredient in ayahuasca, and then there's normal DMT. This is 5-MeO, and so it does affect different serotonin receptors. There's really no serotonin deprivation, which we might experience with other psychedelics or other medicines. And so for me, this is all about ceremony. I live my life entirely by ceremony, ritual, divination. And I have been an active psychonaut for the last 15 years, and mostly with ayahuasca, with the sacred mushrooms, San Pedro, Canna, white lily, things like this. And of course, I'm from the Caribbean. Cannabis is our goddess. And these things are done in ceremony. They are prayed over. They are devoted to. There's always just this deepening communication with a divinity that is ever present. And shout out to my mentors for initiating me into this lineage. And the goddess molecule, my very first ceremony with her, allowed me in 25 minutes to experience and have access to what I had been seeking for 15 years. And you spoke into it. It's the dissolve. I dissolved from my human awareness, egoic patterns, cycles, rhythms, and was not only able to touch the non-existent edges, but to literally be placed in the heart consciousness of the divine and to be rocked back and forth by the surety that everything is as exactly as it is supposed to be, divinely sequenced and working in my ever impenetrable favor. And that was my very first experience. And there's really no way
Not me being salty, I didn't have that experience. My ego's like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. There we go. Inner monitor's like, yeah, I knew it. I could see that.
But honestly, I've had so many experiences that were exactly what you're talking about. So many. And I've had those moments where my very first ayahuasca experience, I sat in a room with 20 people, including my late husband at the moment, who had the biggest experience of their entire life and nothing. 3 cups. And anybody who sat with ayahuasca knows 3 cups. And you're not
I did 3 cups my last night, nothing.
Exactly.
I've been there
3
as well.
cups.
Yeah.
We've all had this experience of deeply desiring the experience that everyone else is having, and it being the opposite, or it being exactly what you need in that moment. And that very first ayahuasca ceremony of mine, I remember being like, this is shit. I want my money back. I'm like kicking my husband. I'm like, get up. I'm like, let's go. This is horrible, and he's in. And the last 5 minutes before the sun came up, I could see just the rays coming up over the horizon. I'm like, so great. I'm so glad I have my bag packed. I'm ready to go. And I was pissed.
Your little satchel.
Super sad.
I had my fringe satchel and I was ready to go.
I was already thinking about the chai latte I was going to have and how I was going to bitch about it for the rest of the day. And a voice came in my right ear. And I had been toying, this is forever ago, probably 17 years ago now. I had been toying with channeling at this point. I knew I had a gift and I wasn't sure how to tap into it fully, but it had been coming in spurts. And this voice started to come in my right ear. And in my right eye, all of this code started to come in. And it felt very matrixy. And in my left eye, I felt like I was behind a huge, I would say like screen, but almost felt like a windshield of some sort. Like I was in some kind of vehicle or craft. And it started with this huge dialogue about what was to come. And it was like, it will not be easy. You will have to choose it over and over and over again. And it was like information packets that were landing in my consciousness that were not ready to be opened yet, or that I did not have the key to that code just yet. But it landed. It found a place to live. And as the sun came up, literally as the first part of the sun came up, it stopped. Like mid-sentence, it stopped. And I knew in that moment that that is how ceremony worked, because the shamana had said, when the sun comes up, our ceremony is complete. She had already set those boundaries. She had set those parameters, and she had structured our ceremony to that divine sequencing. And literally at that moment, everybody just started coming out of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I looked over at my late husband and I was like, we're coming back tonight. And we did. And from then on, my entire journey as a medicine shamana has taken me from that to the Magdalene path, to the priestess path, to the healer path, and now to the goddess molecule path, and finding that this, in fact, is my medicine. And that it hasn't been easy, but I've had to continually choose to steward something that is undefinable, that is ineffable, but in every sense of the word, and the way is the divine speaking and feeling through me. And that permission is what I get to share as my dharma. Where you were and what you're feeling right now, I know it so deeply and so intimately. And I can only smile, which is why last night I was just like listening. Like, if you notice, we weren't saying anything. We were like, just bring it. Just bring it. Like, we're here to hold the space for that, to allow that roll call to kind of come through unobstructed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The goddess molecule is the strongest psychedelic on the face of the planet, and also the most integrative, at least in my own experience. A lot of times what I tell beautiful souls is that you integrate in the medicine, which is why I gave you the suggestion. You don't have to pop out of it. Oftentimes we're so excited to pop out and share that we actually haven't left the space for it to be shared within our own experience and our own landscape. So stay, be nurtured, be held, let everything else wait.
I did.
Yeah, you did.
45 minutes, baby.
It was perfect.
I was
perfect.
like, I'm about to hit that limit of my time.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I'm going to hit the record. It was so pleasing because no taste, took 5 seconds to get in it. You're in it right away. It's like, it was just the best experience, I think sometimes, this is what I want to say. Sometimes with mushrooms or ayahuasca or even, San Pedro or other things that I've experienced, and this could just be my experience, you don't really know what's the consciousness has in store for you. And sometimes I feel like I'm like, okay, I'm going on your ride. I don't, I know it's best for me, but I just don't know. And this was just like pure. It was just the purest thing. I don't know. It felt like, it did feel like the consciousness of God versus the consciousness of like mushroom or the consciousness of ayahuasca, which I feel like are their own consciousness that we can tune into.
Exactly.
Which was nice. I was like, wow, I have to say for myself, and I want to hear your perspective, I'm so brave. Like, I just like,
Thank you.
When these things
thank you for
come
saying
in,
it
I'm
out
just like,
loud.
let's just do this.
Proclaim that.
I'm like, let's do it. Like, I love that I can walk myself through these things and I have no fear. I'm like, I'm hating myself the whole time I'm doing it. But I'm also like, you're brave, sister.
You got this.
What's your experience with the goddess molecule?
Oof. As Shitam says, there's a life before the goddess and there's a life after. My first meeting was quite explosive. Let's put it like that. Just to let's set the frame, let's set the scene. It was my birthday. We were in Sweden. It was a day before we had to facilitate a retreat for 22 people. So of course, the night before we were going to do a little ceremony.
It was you too.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And
with 2 other beautiful souls.
2 other beautiful souls. I got served. I think I went in for 10 minutes. I got out again and I was like,
yeah, I turned around and Simon's looking at me wide-eyed. He's like, I don't feel anything. And it wasn't cocky at all, but it was just, it was in a very Simon way. He was like, I don't feel anything.
This is my normal state.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. This is my normal state.
I'm not really feeling
Christ consciousness,
anything.
my normal state.
Wow.
And I have a really high tolerance with some things. And I'm sure there's many answers. That's a different talk.
Right.
So I got served again.
And the thing with 5 too, it's not exactly if you serve double, it's double the experience. If you serve triple, it's not like that. It's already in your system. And so there's already like a living origin story within your system for it to build upon. So there's an architecture that's already there. So I didn't serve him that much more, but I also recognized in him that your normal state is already, and this is like no value judgment to where people start, but your normal state is quite high. And so it's almost like the medicine entered into your system, met you at that height and was like, we begin from here. We don't have to start at this level. Now we begin from here.
I was in a place or moment in my life where I had to break through, as we talked about yesterday, like some doors, some windows, some limitations.
Yeah.
And let's just say that the goddess really helped me break through. So within seconds after I met her the second time, the second round, my whole being just exploded in this frequency that I had never felt or met before. And it took me a few, anyway, time is relative, not really existent. It took me whatever time it took to suddenly realize that it was the consciousness of Christ that had entered my body.
Yeah.
And the first second, it felt like the frequency was so high that I was about to explode from the inside out. Like it was so explosive. It was so powerful. And then it turned into, I felt, I always get touched by saying it. I felt the pain of humanity suffering. It was like all the pain from all the humans in the world just exploded out of my third eye. And in that moment, I was even hanging at the cross being crucified. And I was screaming. I mean, I don't really, I do recall that I was loud. And from what I've picked up, it was a lot of like primordial screams. It was really deep. And it's funny because we talked about it yesterday. Or was it today, actually? Time, relative again. And it really took me into a state where I was still a bit fighting it because it was such an explosive state for my body that I was twirling, moving around. Like luckily we were in quite a big space and I definitely got around.
Simon made the span from side to side of probably a it was really and that's in this oracular state of witnessing him as well. And when he came out and was like, I was experiencing the pain of humanity, it was visible in the field, right? In the energetic field, that there was a breaking free of the conditioning of our pains collectively, and how we crunch them into ourselves. We take in the entirety of humanity's pains into ourselves and the fractal that we can hold inside. And what I witnessed in you, and I think what we've spoken about, is that you actually allowed it to not be crunched, to not be clenched, and it broke free in every sense of the word. And the explosion of how the intimate story of our pain then became the intimate story of collective pain.
And the energy had to move. It had to move somewhere. So therefore it came out in a physical form. And after this twirling, flying around, I suddenly found my peace in it. And in that very moment, I suddenly gained, or received, found, was gifted access to all the information in the world. In that very moment, and I was slightly aware of it, but in that very moment, I had the information available of every human on the planet, every solar system, every alien race, like everything.
Omniscience.
And what I was told, my eyes were wide.
You ever see those movies, kind of like the ancient movies where the oracles and their eyes turn white? Like that's literally what he turned into. I was watching him and he was just shaking and his eyes just had rolled back. But it was in the sense of, sometimes you can still see kind of the Irish in someone's eyes, but it was completely white. And in that kind of psychic space, I was like, it was like a download. He was downloading.
Got it.
The codex.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a huge download. And I remember I was kind of like weaving like the web of the universe. Wow. I experienced the Big Bang. And I got out of it slowly. It changed my life.
How do you think it's changed both of you? For me, it's anguish. For me, I'm unwell.
I feel like it really underlined who I am and what I'm here for.
Yeah.
It really showed me the way that I want to walk, that I'm here to walk. It really showed me my deepest passion, pleasure, purpose, living this life. And it was overwhelming. It was quite a mouthful in the beginning to taste and digest, but I would say it's been It's been a great taste and still tasting very well.
And I will say, even since then, there was even a little hesitation in the in the times that you've sat with it since then to even have an experience that deep.
Right.
Yeah.
I was afraid.
I can imagine.
I was honestly, it took me quite a few ceremonies before I wasn't afraid anymore.
Wow.
Because that moment was so big and explosive.
Yeah.
And I was afraid I would get hurt or I would hurt someone
Yeah.
in that process
Yeah.
of doing it again.
Monitor.
I find that to be so interesting that, and please forgive me if this is not your experience, but what I've understood you to share with me is that you not only became and embodied Christ consciousness, but then the seed was planted within you to be able to share it.
Yeah.
And I think in some of the ways that I'm able to mirror you, when this fear comes up, I'm like, what is it about you being a conduit and a steward of Christ consciousness that scares you so much?
Yeah.
Right.
And then it comes down to like worthiness.
Yeah.
Why am I special?
Yeah.
Am I really worthy of being this conduit? Why is it me?
And that's how it's changed our lives, because it begs the question of what is it that we feel we are worthy to receive in this divine life?
Exactly.
And how are we able to make the space for it to fully live and code within us?
And I think that's also where we complement each other so well, because we don't settle.
Yeah.
We don't settle.
I have to take a breath on that one, because that is my truth beyond my truth,
Yeah,
beyond
that's
my
one
truth.
thing about me.
Yeah.
I will not.
Yeah. If you're going to be in my life, you're not going to settle. That's one thing about me.
About meeting, like in that moment, I felt like you met the ineffable. And in witnessing you meeting the ineffable, therein lies my purpose.
Yeah.
I want to support people in meeting their ineffable self, selves, and souls. We are not just this, even though this beautiful, intelligent, infinite vessel. This is just the vehicle for us to be able to zoom across our consciousness and to understand, to feel, and to embody the largeness that cannot be defined. I think the goddess molecule is a major pathway in my life to be able to steward that. The Magdalene path, the temple codes path, and just this path of permission. I'm walking with permission. I'm sharing permission. I'm breathing with permission for something larger than the sum of my parts to land and share and be. And that's goddess molecule, but also all the things that are the most important things of my life are really just facets of the same. Really just facets of worthiness, of owning our desires, of embodiment, and of divinity.
And that's, we just want to come back to temple code. I mean, that is what temple code is for. We don't want to teach people these things because it's already within. We want to help people to remember.
And almost remembering is almost kind of this rebellious spirit that we being offered in this moment, this spiritual rebellion that is now upon us, right? The age of Aquarius is here. It is this moment where, if you even look at the glyph of Aquarius, right, the earliest symbolism of the glyph of Aquarius was a woman. Aquarius was denoted as a woman holding a holy grail, pouring out these satiating waters over the worlds below to heal this war-torn world. Right? It's a rebellious act for us to receive this waters of purification and to kind of rewire our conditioning to understand that everything is available to us. Should we just give ourselves permission, worthiness, and deservance to receive and have spaciousness for it to land and code into our experience? It's a rebellious act for us to actually be happy and for us to be in community and for us to be ecstatically delicious with our lives. And I just find like I will be the like clarion call of the rebellious spiritual person if that is what we are doing together. Like count me in. I'm at the forefront. Like I'm on the white stag. Like let's go. Yeah.
I see it. I was like, oh yeah. I think that's what you said, important, like together.
Together. We can't do it alone.
No,
we're not meant to.
No, exactly.
That's it. It's together or nothing. Let's go.
I'm grateful I have you guys. Thank you for sitting with me. Thank you for facilitating yesterday.
Love
It
you.
just meant so much to me. It was so good. So I appreciate you so deeply. And I'm so grateful for audience to get to know you if they don't already. And thank you for such a beautiful conversation. I appreciate and love you guys.
Love you.
Okay, guys.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the next one. Bye. Thank you so much, Atem. Thank you so much, Simon. Really appreciate you guys and your support during that really beautiful ceremony. Again, that is Jatem Cheree, and she is a healer and teacher. There are a lot of other episodes. If you liked this one, we actually did a full episode with Jatem, just her and I, about Mary Magdalene codes, about some super deep mystic stuff. So you can search Jatem Almost 30 to find more.
And if you haven't picked up our book came out in 2025. It's called Almost 30, A Definitive Guide to a Life You Love for the Next Decade and Beyond. It's out now everywhere books are sold. I actually just got a DM the other day from my friend, Chrissy, who I used to do ballet with, and she lives in Singapore, and she saw our book in Singapore, like on the shelf.
Wow.
I'm like, how? I didn't even know it was in Singapore.
We have to talk to our publisher.
Yeah.
We're actually not getting paid out in Singapore, so we've got other conversations to have.
It was so cool. I was like, wow, that's
fucking
pretty amazing. All right, guys, we love you. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you. We'll see you on the next one. 2 episodes every single week.
Love you guys. Bye.